This is fun.
Yeah, it's for you. It's a steel with tyrant power.
Yes, yes, good, good, very good.
We brought it for you if you would like it.
Well, I think you better keep it because I have.
You have some.
Yes, I have
It's
some.
all right.
I think I have a few with, I have some with him. It's too bad he couldn't finish the film.
Yes, yes,
Very
indeed.
bad. Yeah,
Indeed.
very sad. He was much better. You wrote a story about different battles.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. Not about all of them, but
Different ones.
yes, different ones. The
Interesting.
structure.
Yes. Have you seen the description and is that for my film?
No, unfortunately not, because
Solomon.
I was not able to find.
This
Indeed.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to find shots from War and Peace. Yes.
Sorry, I have a few, but that was in the present issue. I think a positive is a diagram of how.
Yes.
Of how. No, it's an article of how I planned the battle.
Yes, I read that. It was very good, very interesting.
Yes.
Usually, in most of the pictures about the battles, it's always a confusion of lines,
Yes.
confusion of people, confusion of colors.
Exactly, I agree. D'accord.
And in your films, it's quite different. For instance, in the Great Parade, for instance, in Solomon and Sheba, and in War and Peace. For instance, in War and Peace, we see Fonda, Pierre Bezoukov, is walking. He's walking on the fields. Suddenly, few people on horses passed.
Yes.
And a little further, he walks, and with him, it seems it is in the meantime his point of view. He see what happened, and the point of view, let us say, of God. There is a movement, and we discover the battlefield.
Yes, yes.
So what I wanted to know, it is how did you make that? How did you work that? All the things, because it's not confusion, it's very precise.
Yes, it is. I did, well, in my book, last book, I have a description of that. But with you know what it is, a stopwatch? Stopwatch, 1 second, 2 seconds.
Chronomètre.
Yeah, but by second.
Yes.
By second. And in the battle, it's called 0 hour,
Yes,
hour
yes.
in a big battle. So in this, I have 0 second, and then 0 second plus 2, something happens, 0 second plus 4, something happens, 0 second. And by the camera is an assistant director with a walkie-talkie.
Yes.
And calling the seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, with the stopwatch, you see. And in the field is commanders with walkie-talkies, but instructions such as one. You know what a stake is? A stake, a little post in the ground.
Yes.
You feel with the feet sometimes.
Yes.
And Fonda, but they go from this stake to that stake. They say they start at a second. If we started if we commenced all action at the time Fonda is picking a flower, then by the time the camera comes there, everything is finished by then.
Of course.
You see. So, but we had a bomb in the air, a bomb going, so that everybody starts the stopwatches, at the big sound, And so nobody moves over here until it comes to, say, 12 seconds, or 20 seconds. And then he starts here, and as he walks around this way, and they know coming, and we rehearsed this the day before, but they know to start moving at 12 seconds, going to 18 seconds, from there to there, and then as he comes here, that group of people, Napoleon's army, they're going from about 25 seconds to 35 seconds, you see. And Fonda is on in the ground is a little stake, it's called, and he's feeling it with his foot. And he must stay there 10 seconds. He must stay there. And then he goes to another one, and he feels that with his foot. He can feel that, and he must stay there. And it's all very precise.
But it takes a big preparation, I guess.
No, just 1 or 2 hours the day before, 1 hour. But I like this because...
The day before.
Yes, the day before. So we can shoot 9 o'clock in the morning. And then it's all typed for Americans, but typed in Italian, and handed out to all the commanders, all the what are they called, captains from each platoon.
Yes.
But for each 100 men, maybe I have one man the day before. One man.
Responsible.
Yes, but he's going in place of 100 men or 1,000 men. Maybe
I see.
He's going from there to there. One man, one officer. It's the Italian army.
Yes.
Using the Italian army. So he's going from one point to another point, and so then you can talk to walkie-talkies and say, not so fast, slow, a little slow, and so forth, the day before. So everything is planned out. It's very precise. To me, it's easier than 2 actors or 2 stars, because with the stars, they're liable to say, I can't do this, or I don't feel like that, or I don't do this. But this we all do on paper first and translate into Italian, and everything must go exactly, and there's no reason. We have explosions and in the ground with explosions going off, and someone is working the keys to set the explosions, with like a piano, keyboard.
Yes.
And they all go at the right time. There's enough for 3 takes, but I think we only use 2. But when it works very beautifully. It works very smooth and very exact. And someone once asked me whether I like directing 2 stars or 5,000 men, and I said 5,000 men because I can plan it exactly before, and there's no trouble. I could not even be there.
Yes, I can see. And in Solomon and Sheba, but the editing also is important. For instance, in Solomon and Sheba, there is a battle, if I can remember. The people on horsemen are starting, and you cut, and it's immediately the battle. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't. They ride into the battle. They start the battle.
Maybe at the beginning.
Oh, I think I
maybe at the beginning.
Yeah.
The first there is a small attack with a small group at the beginning. They are starting, and then you cut immediately in the action. There is people maybe cutting the rope of a tent, and you are immediately in the action.
Oh yes. Now I tell you, interesting in War and Peace, that I usually, very often, they have what they call second unit director.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I let the second unit director take the cast, the actors.
Yes.
And he shoot the scene with the principal actors, and I shoot the battle For the,
I see.
For the
this
reason
is very
that
important.
just the reverse. Thank you, dear.
It was Mario Soldati.
Yes, it was Soldati. For the reason that I know what you say to make it simple so people can understand, and the only way they understand in a big distance they cannot recognize uniforms. Audiences can't recognize them anyway. Even in close, they don't know which is Russian and which is French, unless it's a great difference. And so, therefore, I keep all the directions simple, always going in one direction. I mean, the French going in one direction. For example, if you look at a map on the wall, the French are going, Napoleon is going from Paris to Moscow. He's going from the right to the left.
Yes.
And the Russians are coming from Moscow down, and they're going from left to right. So the Russians are... Is that right? Yeah. No. Napoleon's going. If you look at the
Napoleon is going down
left to right.
Yes.
If you look at the map, the north is always in the top.
Yes.
And Napoleon's going from Paris to
Moscow.
From Paris to Moscow. He's going left to right.
Left to right.
And the Russians are going right to left. I was looking at the map the wrong way but so anybody moving
in
left to right in one direction, you know who that is, and anybody moving in the other, you know it's the opposing. So I never change it.
It was very. I was once in Moscow,
yes.
And a friend of mine said, having seen that picture, he said for me it's very important because it was a funny thing to us that an American
yes, I know.
understand this picture. For instance, these people, Plato Kareteyev, who is played by John Mills,
yes,
it's a very important Russian people, and the meaning of his philosophy is very important.
yes.
And they were so surprised that you understood so well these people.
Well, they had a very good book to go by,
Yes,
a
indeed.
Great book. I mean, if everybody wrote like Tolstoy, it's easy to understand if you study carefully Tolstoy,
But it was a beautiful people, and Plato Kareteyev played by
Yes,
John Mills.
yes, it is. It's interesting. I felt very good. I see why he's doing a very good performance in London now, and I think he's a very good actor, and he did understand the character of Platon, yeah. So, and I think the only reason that they made the Russian film is because they thought it should not be by an American and an Italian producer, and not be directed by an American. So some high-up official says, "Oh, this shouldn't be. We must make it here." And so too soon they made it, again.
Yes.
And many Russian people tell me they like mine better. Many people in Russia.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Tu oublies de tourner? Non, il demande tout à l'heure. Ah bah oui.
So. It's interesting. I must say I must give some credit to D.W. Griffith. If you remember The Birth of a Nation and The Klansman, how he exposed the battle with a family or somebody on a hill, and he showed the battle from some people watching, and then panned around the camera and showed the battle. I mean, I remember that from D.W. Griffith, although my concept was also with one man, Fonda, is one viewpoint. It's very important to me to have a viewpoint always in films.
Yes.
Usually the leading character.
Usually the leading character.
Yeah, has the viewpoint of the whole film. Because I know this because he doesn't get a day off. He doesn't get a day vacation doing the whole film. He's in everything, unless we work with a battle, there's some details of a battle. But I believe very much in first-person viewpoint, you know.
Yes, it's important.
Yes, everything, story, book, anything.
So we were talking about the big parade. It seems that you have directed a lot of pictures, but I can guess that you don't choose everything. I mean, there are films among those films that are really your own pictures.
Yes, true. From insides.
Yes, and the big parade maybe is one of the first.
It's one of the first. Yes. See, most of my career was done. I must do a picture that I like, and then I can't always do that because maybe it's not successful or something. I must do a picture that maybe the studio bought or something. Or let's say one more obviously successful for the box office, for the theater, and then mine is more expression of what I feel. We didn't have little theaters as Fellini had when he came out, or Rossellini, or Bergman. At first they were shown in art theaters, small theaters. You see,
Yes.
we didn't have that. It had big movie theaters, Gaumont here and all this sort of thing. And therefore you had to make films that had stars and sometimes, and you had to make big films to fill those theaters. But in the case of course, sometimes it reversed, like Big Parade was something I wanted to make and felt, and then it becomes the most successful film. But Notre Pain Quotidien and The Crowd, The Fool, and those films that saw it, Hallelujah, and then again War and Peace. But these are films that, because the other films I wrote, and they were from me inside, and because Hallelujah was, War and Peace was Tolstoy, and but it was a thing very compatible to me because Pierre in War and Peace is searching for truth, you know.
Yes,
and that's
right.
the same thing that I was always thinking of.
But it seems that the search of the truth is very in people. In your films is very important too. The search for the truth.
Yes,
they are searching their own truth.
Yes, I've even written one or two scripts that I haven't made that have more of this. But anyway, that was Tolstoy's theme, and that's why I was compatible to that idea. I think that, and I used to think I will make one picture for the studio, or one picture someone else discovered or someone else wrote, and after one or two like that, then I'll make one that I like. Because very often, if you make one you like, you might suffer very much to keep it and preserve it and to keep it pure. And you are the only one that knows the way it should be, and it's very painful sometimes to keep other people from changing it or diluting it. Or
it's a necessity to alternate. In this film industry, in that time, film for the studio and film for yourself.
Yes.
That you need deeply. For instance, I have a very good remembrance of Ruby Gentry.
Yes.
I think it was a very personal picture.
It was, yes. It was a personal film. And I noticed just 1 day ago, 2 days ago, that I was talking to someone about, they were telling me about End of Duel in the Sun, how Gregory Peck and Jennifer Jones were killing each other, and I was looking at Positif, and I see that on the cover is the same thing. In other words, I stole from myself. I took that again from the end of
Ruby Gentry.
Ruby Gentry,
yes.
yeah. So, but when you're doing that, maybe these films are 10 years apart, 7 or 8 years, you don't notice that.
Funny thing in the pictures that you discover part of yourself in pictures.
Yes.
You didn't intend, consciously.
No, you didn't.
And after you discover, you see with some distance, and you can see that
yes,
it's the same.
And today, I ran a film I made years ago called Wild Oranges, and today
Yes.
I looked at a little bit on a movie, on a cutting table.
Yes.
Of this Wild Oranges, and I look at it and I see the technique of acting and my feelings. Some are just the same as today, but others, my feelings about acting is quite different, And another example of what you say is that I saw the crowd, and I think Our Daily Bread, one time, both on the same day. Now, they were made at least 10 years apart, 28, 30, 28, 1, and 12 years apart, you see. So you're not thinking about the early film, what you did. You're just thinking about the present film,
Yes.
And then when you see them both in one day, like I go to a festival or a retrospective or something, and I see them both the same day, then I can see what part in the film is that I'm, and if I've grown a little or matured a little, or gotten a little older, or a little more experienced, I can see that because I can see what part of the film is me, You understand that?
Yes, I do.
So you don't see this if it's stretched out 10 years, but if you put them both in one day, you see that,
It's a funny thing indeed.
Yes.
And it seems that in most of your pictures, there is a strong feeling for the earth.
For the earth.
For the earth.
Yes. Were you at Cinematheque last night?
Unfortunately not.
Next Monday they're going to run it again.
Really?
Yes. It broke last night.
Yes, Suzanne told me about that.
Yeah. And we only saw one half last night. And I think that picture ends with the earth. And my wife used to say, you're going to have a plow in this picture, you're going to be a plow cutting the earth. So I do, because I know how many times I've had to go out, and I live in the country too now half the time. Someone once asked me if, they said, I have a character going from the country to the city and from the city to the country and the country, and I said, what did that mean? And I said, well, I don't know what it means I don't know. And then one day I discovered I was doing this. That's where I live now. I go from the country to the city and city to the country, And I said, well, what does it mean to me? Well, I don't want to exclude either one. I don't want to say I don't like the city, and I don't want to say I don't like the country, So I try to have both, and that's what it means to me. I think that this is more complete living than to say I hate the country or I hate the city. I don't. You exclude that. You narrow.
But maybe there is another feeling. That when we lived in town, even when we lived in town, we need roots, and it's important, very important in your pictures as well as in pictures of John Ford, but in a different way. There are films with roots, yes. American roots.
Yes, I think so. That's why I'm making documentary of small town, and it's true. You walk out if you have a little piece of land, and some people say to me, you must sell this, it's this ranch, this farm, it's gone up in price. I said, no, just the fact that this is mine, and I've had it for many years, and it's I say to my dog, how lucky we are. I walk out and look, and I say, how fortunate.
It's very funny because it remembers me some words of Grapes of Wrath. in both books, book and film.
Yes.
There is an old man, a man whose name is Mully, and he said, my earth is not, it's not good, but it's my earth anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Sylvie.
Oh,
Did you know a fellow director called Paul Fejos?
Paul Fejos,
Paul Fejos.
yes. I think I've met him, yeah. He was sort of Hungarian, Jim.
A funny thing that there are very different films, but with some common feeling. They are Causerie films. You understand what I mean? There is Fejos Lonesome, maybe you saw
Lonesome?
it.
No,
Lonesome,
I don't remember.
and The Crowd, because they are films about loneliness of people, in big cities.
Uh-huh. No, I don't. I remember him and name, and remember maybe I met him one time, shake hands, but I don't remember the film.
Mr. Vidor, Vidor is an Hungarian name, isn't
Yes,
he?
yes.
You are of Hungarian.
Yes, my grandfather was born in Budapest.
Yes, really.
Yes, and it's my real name, Vidor, and King also. It's Hungarian.
Do you know in what occasion they come to the United States?
Yes, yes, he came as a public relations press representative of the press. What my daughter is doing now, of a violinist, of a very well-known Hungarian violinist named Rimini, for a tour of the United States. Very famous violinist. And when the violinist went back to Hungary, he stayed in the United States, stayed in New York, and then he went to Texas from New York. And he heard about the possibility of business in Texas, cotton business, and it was a very prosperous port, and he stayed there, and I was born in Texas.
It's a funny thing. You know that Hungarian people, I know them very well because I work in the Hungarian studios as assistant directors. They have the epic sense.
They do.
And I think that you have also the epic sense. Do you think that...
Well, combined with Texas. Texas also has epic sense, I think, and open.
Yes,
very much
the sense
feeling.
of the open, it's very
Yes,
important.
and a broader consciousness. They laugh in the United States very often about Texas, the biggest state and the biggest city, and they buy the big things. They have biggest stores, the best known stores. Always amazing. The people. For a while, I suppose it was based on oil. I guess it was oil, but they have a big feeling of expanse, of not being little.
And do you think? I think you have you like the space.
Oh yes,
it's obvious in your pictures.
Yes.
And maybe it comes from your Hungarian.
It could be.
The combination of the two, the Hungarian origin and the Texas.
Yes, it's possible. It's very logical. I don't like anything that's small or confined. Too much. So it could be. It could be. I was going to Budapest this trip. I never have been to Budapest, and we were going this trip, and instead we went to Marseille and saw Frankenheimer's, making a film, and went to Geneva, and then I didn't go to Budapest. But many times I was always going to Budapest, but I don't go.
It's a pity, just before coming here, I met an Hungarian friend from Budapest, which is coming here to buy foreign films, French films, and she's a young people, and she knows you. She never saw your films, but she knows the name of King Vidor because it's a Hungarian name.
Yes.
Working in the States.
Yeah.
Funny thing indeed.
But it's funny, it's strange, she never saw the films. Here, many young people, they know my films because of Cinematheque,
yes,
and
because
television,
of the
and television too.
Of course.
But it's strange they haven't.
But she's very young, very young people,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think that those films, for instance, the last one, have been presented, exhibited in Hungary. But maybe someday they will.
Yes, yeah, right.
Maybe someday. Now then, can you say a few words about David Ward Griffith?
Yes, well, you see, when I was a very young man, when I came to Hollywood, before I saw Griffith film, and he was the inspiration for me very much, because he seemed to understand what films were for, what they were about, and also the tempo and the technique and the music of films. They always played music with a big orchestra. And when I was beginning to direct and direct films in Hollywood, and I was 20 years old, I'd always wait for the next Griffith film and always want to talk to people to ask him about it. And I never met him until much later, but I thought he was the biggest excitement for me, and the biggest that I could get was to watch Griffith films. Intolerance. Before I started directing in Hollywood, I got onto the Intolerance set where they were making Intolerance, and watch, and so this was my teacher.
Your teacher?
Yes, in a way. He didn't know this, but he didn't know, but just his films. And I thought that he knew more about, at the time, what films were about. And finally, he came on the set of Duel in the Sun because of Lillian Gish and Lionel Barrymore. And there's a photograph, I think, in Positive.
In Positive, yes.
Yeah, the two of us together. But he was my mentor, my idol, and when I was very young. And not so of many other directors, not so of many other famous directors like DeMille and other directors. I didn't feel so. I didn't copy that.
Was he your only master? I mean, in filmmaking?
I think so, yes. I think so. Yeah. At the time, we were all, in a way, pioneers. We were originating. Things that you did had never been done before. Today, very difficult. Young man making films, it's mostly been done, But there was many things to be discovered and to be originated for the first time. So that when you began to feel you were pioneering, many things in the crowd never been done before. I was influenced in the crowd by German directors. The movement seemed to be from Germany at that time. The Last Laugh, Variety,
yes.
Metropolis, so forth. And but as far as American directors go, it was Griffith, actually Griffith. So if as much as anyone could do, I think that much of my awareness of rhythm and tempo speeding up at the finish, and came from Griffith. It's like a crescendo at the finish, like a symphony.
Yes, I understand, like a music.
Yes, like a music. So Griffith was very aware of this, and was willing to speed up everything to make it accomplish the purpose. I think he was the best innovator.
Well, I guess it's over. I mean, the real, not us, anyway.
Maybe we use it up. You have another question? Or use up to the end of the reel?
Mais c'est the batteries.
I
think. I can send you a copy of it. if you are not sure, maybe the editor didn't send you because the editor are awful people.
Yes, yes.
Mostly.
I think I would know about it. If I'm quite sure I would know about it because I know my library of books and I haven't seen it.
It's funny. It's a funny thing.
I'm quite sure I don't have it.
Because every people that answer me, of course, I give them.
Yes,
give the order to the editor to send you a copy.
You're making 16 millimeter
Yes.
films now. I'm doing the same.
Yes, I have heard of that in positive.
Yes.
Can you talk a little about that?
Well, you say you're making film of the peasants. Because I live near a small town in the country.
Yes.
I observed that I could be there during a whole year, you see. So I observed that I could do things that somebody just coming for a short while couldn't do. So I wanted, and I didn't remember ever seeing a film that really had the feeling of a small American town, actually what goes on. And so I started it 2 years ago, just shooting whatever happened in the town. And now I'm to the place, it's about halfway through, and now I'm to the place to have the interviews and the sound. So far I don't have any dialogue in it, and I'm going back and do the dialogue and finish the film. And then I made one other documentary, more or less for small groups of students or of friends. It's called Truth and Illusion, and it's 25 minutes, 16 millimeter, both of them. And that's called Truth and Illusion, an Introduction to Metaphysics. And it's also experimenting what you can do with a 16 millimeter camera without building anything, without actors. I have some actors, but more or less friends, you know. And but you're building nothing. It's to take advantage of whatever is existing. If you have a camera eye, you hope to see things that are unusual, you know, that you don't. You're watching all the time. How can you express this idea? Mainly this truth and illusion would be done with animation, but I wanted to try to do something that would encourage anybody. I did it with Beaulieu camera, you know, to encourage any man who had his own camera to look for unusual, interesting things, you know. So I had that in mind, and what could I do? You put down philosophical ideas, and then because the thought is you cannot photograph philosophy. That's, they used to say in filmmaking, you can't photograph thoughts, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, they used to say that. So I said, it's not so, you can't photograph thoughts. So that's what abstract painting is, and that's what impressionistic painting is, thoughts, moods, and so you can't photograph thoughts, you know. So that's the reason I made that. But I didn't care about theaters. It's over there. There's my friend Pierre Rission. He had a 35 blown up, but he can't put it together. But I have it over there in 35 millimeter, but separate soundtrack and picture, which I must take back. And he was going to show it around in France. He was going to exhibit it. But I think the new one I'm making will run about an hour. And maybe I'll make another full-length film too.
Yes.
I have a writer working now, and I have 2 or 3 stories that could be, and very possible I'll make another full-length.
It would be nice.
Yeah, I would like to too.
In your pictures, the spirit of the Bible is important.
Yes?
Yes, it seems, not only in Solomon and Sheba, but there is something of biblical in your film. Don't you think so?
Yes, I suppose so. It's very difficult to I had many years training. In fact, the matter is that my biggest interest, I suppose even equal to films, is metaphysics and spiritual matters and matters about philosophy, about what ontology, science of being, you know. And for many years I was studying the Bible. Now I don't study the Bible quite, as much. But I was very interested for many years, all through my whole career of filmmaking. I was studying the Bible with other studies, metaphysics, and so it must come out in the film. It's pretty hard to not have some of it, what they call rub off on films. Rub off.
What is it, rub off?
Well, like if you rub against. Like you rub against, it comes off.
Rub off.
Rub off, yeah. If a dog rubs against you, you might smell like a dog. And so I've been interested in the man, the psyche of man, science of being. That's my number one interest with films.
In your pictures, it seems that you are interested in people, of course, but I mean in individual people.
Yes, yeah. Of course, I believe that the individual expresses deity, God. This is what we know, how we know God, by the individual, and I think that's the work of all of us here on earth is to express divinity is right here in each individual, not off in some place, not off in a church or off in some shrine or something. It's right here.
In each person.
Yes, here and now, and only here. It's only now. The future is nothing. The past is nothing. It's imagined.
Mm-hmm.
But here and now, right here, and each person is the here, and there is the divinity of man. So that each man is sacred to me. So I mean that's my feelings, and it must. And each thing that we do is just the way it ought to happen, I mean, it's just the way it's supposed to happen, so that you don't have regrets, fears. I mean, I don't say I can practice this all the time, but nevertheless, this is what I believe, and as I firmly am convinced of it, that so the individual is sacred. His divinity is the individual. Every individual has the work to express God in his way, in his individual way. So I mean, I believe this, so it must come into the films.
Yes. And those people have a strong personality. I mean, they are, for instance, if I can remember the people of the Citadel, for instance, of the Great Passage, and some other picture, they are strong in the individuality you are interested in also.
Mm-hmm.
People that is sometimes lonely, like in the crowd, but fighting to do something, so his personality come up.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think so?
Yes, definitely, because you see, there's two. I don't like manipulation. You know what manipulation means?
Yes, I perfectly understand.
Yeah. And I don't like exploiting. So, if a man has the courage to be an individual, he can move without fear. He can be a leader. He can move ahead without fear. What he does It doesn't have to mean manipulating someone else or changing someone else or influencing someone else. He can move ahead.
Going his own way.
Going his own way, yes.
Finding or not his own way.
That's right, finding his own way. And I think that so many people, so many of us are trained to the word unselfish, you know.
Yes.
I don't like this word because it's the reverse. So many children are taught to be unselfish, whereby if somebody loves themselves, for example, there's a saying, you cannot love other people until you love yourself. You understand?
Yes.
You cannot love others until you love yourself. Well, if you respect yourself, then everyone else knows the relationship that you are to them, and you don't have to, if you respect yourself, you don't have to manipulate other people for your own happiness or your own success. You don't have to manipulate people because you say, I go, and then those that go with you, it becomes automatic. They fall in line with what you do, you know. And you don't have to, today what I did is, it's all very harmonious. I don't have to manipulate it. If I see you, I'm sorry I'm late, but nevertheless, it flows naturally, you know.
Yes, it's a matter of integrity and dignity,
yes,
isn't
yeah.
it?
And it comes naturally.
Yes.
You don't have to harm somebody. You don't have to exploit somebody to do it, you know. And I think that I like stories this way. I like stories that illustrate that feeling.
Yes,
you know?
I see. What are among the films you directed, and you directed a lot of pictures, the favorite of yours? What are the films you prefer among the ones you directed?
Well, that's a hard question to answer,
Yes.
difficult question. I like many things in the crowd, and I see pictures that, you know, it's a very interesting thing about films that very many people only remember of pieces of films, you know, but when everything goes very well and achieves movement and everything works together, music, rhythm, everything works, photography, acting. And these are the scenes I notice in other films. I might only remember one scene out of a whole picture, maybe Waterfront, Marlon Brando, it's in an automobile. Somebody else I remember, they were walking across a bridge, you know. But I have to go about 10 years to forget all the problems of making a film, and then I can sit and look at it as if it was someone else's, you know. And then I can feel good. I like that scene very much. I did that. You know, I can feel good about it, or maybe I'm sorry I didn't do that a little different way or something. I'm sorry I let somebody else influence me, you know. That's a War and Peace, the battle scene. I was influenced, and that's the article. I didn't say no. One time I should have said no. But if I wait, I can enjoy the films, my films, more than if I... But it's hard to say you pick out one scene. I like the crowd. I like the end of Notre Quotidienne with the ditch, you know.
Yes.
I like very much the people rejoicing in the mud and the water, you know that scene?
Yes, I can remember.
And they're jumping up and standing on their head in the water and sort of expressing ecstasy and running and falling and sliding in the mud. And when I achieve a scene that goes a little beyond the obvious, then I like it very much. You know that I had the courage to then I think it's artistic then to not just follow the exact way that everybody expects, to pull out a little bit more. I like the end and certain things in the big parade I'm very pleased with.
You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Big parade.